Love and light reflections, peace, peace. Back again. Here to do another video. Hold on. Make sure my screen is nice and clean for all my reflections. Let some people get in the room. Out by the mango tree today. Beautiful mango tree. I always show this mango tree because these mangoes are growing, as are all my reflections and thyself, myself, C-E-L-L-F. I am growing, I am coming into new understandings, new consciousness, reflecting new information and new light that I am receiving from the blessed divine master teacher and the sun and nature, being in tune. And today's video is going to be on magnetism and manifestation, as well as some other things that I'll get into that tie into magnetism and manifestation. Now, magnetism. What is magnetism? How does someone manifest something? Manifesting something and attracting something to oneself is through magnetism. Let's just clarify this. First and foremost, everything that is outside of oneself is a holographic universe. Study that, and this will open up one's mind. I can touch on this, and I can, break it down a little bit. But to study it and to really get that information ingrained into one's brain, understanding the holographic universe will help out many of my reflections out there for understanding a lot of the information that one has been able to reiterate and drop, and reflect the knowledge that I have been given. So, manifestation and magnetism go hand in hand. This is a holographic universe. Everything outside of oneself is a reflection, a projection of oneself. We are all one through consciousness, just different consciousness astrologically playing out. Now, knowing this, and knowing that everything's just electrical signals being interpreted through the brain, and then refractions of light, photons going through the eyes, into the back of the retina, into the visual cortex of the brain, and then all these signals are being interpreted and being responded to in communication to the body, because we are electromagnetic beings. Now, how does manifestation work? One would say, oh, manifestation works by meditating and just grounding oneself, meditating and continuously thinking upon something that one wants to happen. Now, meditation isn't just sitting there cross-legged with the eyes closed and such. I mean, that's a form of meditation, but meditation is really everything. What one subjects themselves to throughout the whole day is a meditation. Through the five senses, it doesn't even have to be, because everything's thought. So meditation is everything. When one sees a tree, they think tree. That's a form of meditation. How long one focuses on that tree is, how long that person is meditating on the subject. Here at Melanation and Ether Nation, we and Etherians, we meditate every day on topics, just openly discussing and talking and thinking on a high vibrational frequency, because that is that's the frequency that we're on. Now, there was something that my master teacher had posted on Facebook. I think I might have posted it too. When one focuses on something and meditates on it for more than 60 seconds, for more than 15 seconds, things start to move, or things start to shift. Like in the cosmos, things start to shift. And then for more than 30 or 60 seconds, things actually start to move. Now, why is this? Why can someone meditate and then something magnetically attract to them? Well, because we are electromagnetic beings. We have our consciousness is stored in the blood. We have our blood and everything in our being. This is why it's so important to be alkaline, because alkaline is conductive and conducive to electricity, and we know that our body responds to electrical signals. Everything is energy. Electricity is energy. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency. Everything has consciousness. So we can all sum that up in one, that everything is energy, electricity, and consciousness in no particular order, but they all correspond with each other. So knowing this and knowing that we're electromagnetic beings, and knowing that water is the greatest conductor to electricity, knowing that blood stores consciousness and information, and so does water, we can say that everything is energy. Everything has an electricity, has some form of energy force. Electricity is energy. Now, how do they attract? Iron. Iron is how they attract. Iron is everywhere. Iron is in everything. Iron is in the blood. We have iron in our blood. We have iron in our being. So when one has iron in their being, and they are electromagnetic being, the iron becomes magnetic. Now, as I said, everything outside of one is a projection of oneself, connected by consciousness. Now, what is consciousness? Thoughts. Now, we break down what thoughts are, and we break down where thoughts come from. We get oxygen from the trees. We produce carbon. Iron in the blood, in the middle of the red blood cell, is iron. Iron transports carbon and sends it out of our being. In the tree, there's a cell called chlorophyll cell. That chlorophyll has magnesium, which transports oxygen. I hope I have that right. Either way, this is a direct connection, a direct exchange through carbon and oxygen with these plants. What happens when one does not get enough oxygen to the brain, or if it's really hot out and we aren't getting enough oxygen and we're breathing heavy and such? One can pass out. One can go unconscious. You see? One sees? So now we know. This breaks it down. Now we know through the exchange of carbon and oxygen. And if we didn't have oxygen, we would go unconscious. And we know that to stay conscious and to have thoughts is to be conscious. When one doesn't have enough oxygen to the brain, they go crazy. Just look at beings in Babylon, in the cities. They're crazy. Look at beings that are in hot climates and they don't get enough water, or they don't have enough oxygen, and they go hyperventilating. They can't think straight. They don't function right. So we know that oxygen has a lot to do, or everything to do, with our thoughts. Now, to manifest, we know that iron moves this, I could have it backwards, and it could be iron and oxygen moving throughout the blood, which I think that's exactly what it did. I think iron takes oxygen through its atmosphere and moves it around the chlorophyll cell. In the chlorophyll cell, magnesium moves carbon. But either way, because it carbon and then converts it to oxygen for us to breathe. And then the iron moves that oxygen through the blood and converts it into carbon in our body in order for them to, have a simultaneous exchange of energy through carbon and oxygen. So this being said, when one thinks upon something, because all beings, if one was trying to manifest or magnetically attract a being in one's reality, they would think upon this and meditate on this for a period of time. Not the whole yogi meditation, but imagination. Having imagination, meditation and imagination is very important. To be able to imagine and to be able to meditate is very important. This is exactly how Om was able to get out of Babylon, is one imagined. One had a lot of imagination. When I study my astrology, it even says that I have imaginative powers, being able to imagine myself somewhere else than I actually am. And we know that through the mind and through thought and perception changes one's reality. So when one thinks differently and one perceives life differently, reality will change based off one's thought and perception of the realm that they are in. So being able to do this is how one will be able to magnetically attract. Everything has iron in it. As I explained, everything has iron in it. And through that iron, there's an exchange between carbon and oxygen through the plants. And we know we get our thoughts from the plants, from the oxygen. And the thoughts will manifest something that one wants, because we know that everything has iron in it. And this is the magnetism, because our beings are electromagnetic. So when we think upon something, it will magnetically attract based on how long we can hold that thought of what we want and how pure our heart is. I mean, we can get something and our heart would not be pure, and what we receive would have some baggage or would have some negative connotation, something attached to it that would be of a negative form, because our thoughts and our heart was tainted with a hate and corruption and toxic. So when we purify our hearts and we purify our mind and we manifest, we get the purest of the pure, a blessing. If it's not pure, if our hearts are not pure and our mind is not pure, we receive a lesson that we need to purify our heart and mind in order to receive what we want as a blessing and not a lesson. Because we can receive something in the same manner, but it could be a lesson to us because we are not obedient and we are not pure of heart. So based off one's consciousness and based off how conscious one is, will be according, and how pure and of heart one is will be the overseer and over outcome of what one is manifesting and how well that manifestation is going to play out in one's reality. So we know that we are electromagnetic beings. We know that iron is inside our blood cells in our body. We know that our thoughts come from the trees. We know that everything is energy. We know that everything has consciousness. We know that everything has iron in it. So when we think upon something for a period of time, our consciousness are connected, because we know that oxygen inside the iron is just consciousness, and that will magnetically attract to us, moving the iron, because we are electromagnetic beings. So we can attract things to us because everything has consciousness in it, and consciousness is just oxygen, and oxygen is stored inside iron, and everything has iron in it, so it's going to magnetically attract to us based off how long we can sit and focus on what we are truly trying to manifest, and how well we can keep our attention to and stay focused to what we want. This is exactly what it is. But one also has to connect to nature. One also has to see the importance of nature and be conscious of how magnetism works and how one can magnetically attract something. Because this is how one becomes a master of one's reality. Being able to understand and know how magnetism works, understanding we're electromagnetic, and everything that one has broken down. And this is how it works. This is in the wind. Mama liked that download. Mama liked that download. She liked that one. I know I have a couple people in the room right now, a couple people in the chat. Some of my reflections out there might not get this divine message right now, but it's okay, because it's on video, and I'm going to upload this to YouTube too, so my reflections could get this divine download, because it's very important we understand how to manifest, and we understand magnetism, and we understand the importance of connecting to nature for this. This is why one says pray to the trees. When one's trying to manifest, pray to the trees, because the trees is where one gets their oxygen, which is the direct connection to the source, which is where we plug into. So when we plug into and we pray to the trees, because the trees, nature is our deity, ultimately, because it is the manifestation of the source of where everything comes from. So when we pray to the trees, because the trees are telepathic, basically, they're telepathic, because they can hear and see our thoughts, just because they don't speak in the language that we speak, or we don't get a response in the way that we would get a response from another being or an entity such as ourselves, doesn't mean that they can't hear, and doesn't mean that they can't respond. So when we appreciate, we give back to nature, and we tune in to the frequency of Mama, we can receive blessings. But one must have a pure heart and not abuse this ability to tune in, and this ability to manifest. This is keys. This is jewels right here. I'm dropping jewels right now. I'm dropping divine downloads right now. One must understand manifestation. One must understand about us being electromagnetic, and the importance of magnetism and iron. Iron is in everything. And just think about a magnet too. A magnet attracting another magnet, or a magnet attracting something that is metal or has an iron in it. Magnetically attracts. We are the magnet because we're electromagnetic. And then anything else that has iron in it, or anything else that's metal that is can be attracted to that magnet will pull and attract. And we know that everything is just a holographic universe. Everything's a projection, and an electrical signal is being interpreted to the brain. So everything is us through consciousness. So when one focuses enough, remember, 15 seconds, things start to formulate in the cosmos. 30 to 60 seconds, things start to move and shift. So if we really focus on this and really just imagine how I imagined myself getting out of the tropics, getting out of the Babylon into the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. I imagined. I stayed up and I listened to Master Teacher's videos. I constantly studied tropical areas, tropical lands. I was eating fruit. I created an alkaline environment inside my being. I prayed to the trees. I gave back to the trees. I gave my soil back to the trees. I gave my water back to the trees. And as I was giving my soil and water back to the trees, I also meditated on what I wanted. Because the messages can be sent through one's soil and one's water when one's going to the bathroom or going to release the pot or going to empty the cup. Messages can be sent through if one focuses and transfers the thought, and just consciously transfers the thought through the body to whatever area one is releasing that energy, that resource back to Mama. And then Mama will read this and interpret it through the way that she does when it biodegrades and gets down there, and then she hears, she understands. So it's very important that we connect to nature, we connect to Mama, we get back to the trees, we give, not just for the abuse of trying to manifest, but for truly having a pure heart and understanding that we have a duty and we have a responsibility to become one with nature, to become one with Mama, and that we are meant to be in nature. We're meant to be in tune with that. So tune into the frequency. Tune into Mama's frequency. And this is how one manifests. This is how magnetism works. This is how manifestation works. It's very important to become imaginative. Great way to get out of the tropics, like I said, to get to the tropics, like I said, is to imagine that one is in the tropics. Just imagine one is in the tropics. It's very important to do this. This is how I did it. Just imagine, research up, stay up all night and research. Watch videos, Master Teacher's videos, watch Ohm's videos. Stay up. And this is why we do the videos the way we do them, with our bare skin and showing a melanated being next to a tree, and gives all the visual aspects in my videos and such, is for imagination to be created in one's mind, because some beings astrologically don't have the imagination or the capacity to be able to imagine themselves somewhere greater than where they are. So we do these videos the way that we do them, so that it creates imagination for the beings, subconsciously. And some beings don't even realize this, and this is how one is able to manifest. This is why it's so important to stay focused. This is why it's so important to not have beings that are negative, low vibrational beings to distract one from their thoughts, because thoughts create reality. And I just broke that down in this video of how important thoughts are, and how important magnetism, knowing what magnetism is, and being conscious of what magnetism is, being conscious of how to manifest. And all this has just been broken down to a molecule. So now one will be able to see the importance of staying focused on the path and becoming pure of heart, and becoming righteous, and detoxifying the body and eating well, eating alkaline foods, creating a space inside one's body, because alkaline is very conducive to electricity. We know that our blood needs to be alkaline. Anything else that we put in our body that isn't alkaline or that isn't plant-based will be an insulator, will act as an insulator. And this disrupts one's living matrix. This disrupts the communication through electrical signals in the body, electrical response signals in the body, through cells and the development of the brain and the neurons between the brains. This acts as an insulator. Now, it doesn't always come in the form of food. Remember, there can be many insulators. Anything can be an insulator. If it's on a low vibration or a low frequency, it can be an insulator to one's being, holding one back from the true righteous path, coming into the higher levels of consciousness, into the Christ conscious, into becoming an immunity. We're here as a broadcast, send out this message, and it hits one's being through the ears, vibrates one's bones, activates the RNA, and then gets a being up to go, and then go do what they need to do as the immunity on this planet. But it's also good to know how to manipulate energy, and how energy works, and how magnetism works, so that one can manifest the things that they need to get themselves out, to become the masters of one's own reality, because one is the only one in existence. Anything outside of oneself is just a projection of one's astrological consciousness. And so either, and all these beings are either low vibrational beings or high vibrational beings. So analyze and evaluate one's circle, evaluate one's reality, and see if there's squares. Is one in nature? Is one in tune with Mama? Is one in the tropics? Is one connected to the source? Is one eating right? Evaluate and analyze one's situation, and then detach from anything that no longer serves one. It's very important. Anyways, reflections. I just wanted to give this divine download. I know a lot of them are reflections out there. I normally do my videos in the morning, so bear with me. For any reflections that were here and got this divine download, I hope that it has helped to understand what magnetism is and how it works and how to manifest and such. For all the other beings out there, catch my videos on Facebook and Om Sound of the Universe, and on YouTube, Om Sound of the Universe TV. And I'm also on Instagram as Om Sound of the Universe. So catch all this information, and yeah, definitely tune into this video and get this divine download, because it will help those conscious beings who are trying to manifest and trying to really getting themselves out of Babylon and back to the tropics, back to one's natural environment, back to one's home. I always give a little view, because this is, as I said, this is how it works. Magnetism, manifestation, imagination, meditation. It all corresponds with each other. This is how one does it. Envision oneself somewhere else, and one eventually will be there, depending on the dedication and the focus that one is able to obtain, and the willpower one is able to project. It's very beautiful. This is love. This is love. I am love. This is love. Someone said they gotta go to work. For all my reflections out there who are really trying to get to the tropics and get out of Babylon, I would not suggest working. I would suggest manifesting and connecting to nature, or at least working enough until one gets enough money to get out. I don't condone to working, though, because that is powering the system that's powering cancer. And what is the best and greatest way to kill cancer? To not give it energy, to not be a part of it. And that's exactly what we are doing, and this is what we're here to show you. To show my reflections. Anyway, reflections. Peace, love, and light.